There is an area of Yosemite National Park that I think is just vastly underrated. You don't hear much about it. It's a great place to go if you're looking to escape the crowds of Yosemite Valley. And so today I want to talk about all of my favorite things to do and favorite stops along Yosemite's Tioga Road. My name is Ash, and I'm a former park ranger and the founder of Dirt in My Shoes, and I spend a lot of time in Yosemite. It is just one of those parks that is so great for hiking and getting out and exploring and seeing beautiful things. But today I want to talk about the Tioga Road, which is taking you into Yosemite's high country. This is the high alpine environment of Yosemite National Park. This road gets to almost 10,000 feet above sea level, and up here you'll find sparkling alpine lakes, lots of wildlife, just majestic granite domes, picturesque meadows, everything that you could ever want on your next Yosemite vacation. Okay, so to introduce you to the Tioga Road, here we have a map of Yosemite. Down here you have Yosemite Valley, even further south is Wawona and Glacier Point, all of that's down here. The Tioga Road is the northern road through the park. It goes from east to west. It cuts all the way through. And it goes from Crane Flat over here, 47 miles to Tioga Pass, which is over here. Tioga Pass is also the high point of the road at 9,945 feet. So that gives you an idea of the type of elevation that you're going to see as you drive along the Tioga Road. Now, because this road has such a high elevation, it is often the last part of Yosemite to open up for the summer season. There just is a ton of snow up here that they've got to plow. They start plowing about the middle of April, but it totally depends on how much snow they have as to when this road actually opens. Typically, you can count on it being open from about the beginning of June through October, but again, that's totally weather permitting. They can still get snow. Even if they start plowing in April, it can snow in May. It can mess up all the plowing and push that date back. So you'll definitely want to keep an eye on the Yosemite website to see when that road is open. If you really want to drive the Tioga Road on your trip to Yosemite, then I probably wouldn't plan your trip for any earlier than about mid-June. The Yosemite National Park website actually has some things to help you to pay attention to those opening and closing dates and the plowing status. So you'll see that all here. If you click on the opening and closing dates, you can get an idea of when this road typically opens depending on the snowpack. So you can see 2023, it opened really late. It opened almost at the end of July. And there's your snowpack levels. There was just a ton of snow. It took them a very long time to get this open. Other years, you'll see it does sometimes open in May. Sometimes it doesn't open until June or well into June. And so it is kind of hard to know how to plan for this road. I mean, you can always plan your Yosemite trip deeper into July and August, but if you plan your trip for that far into the summer, then you also risk that the waterfalls may not be at peak flow. They might be just a trickle by the time you get there. So the timing on this is a little bit hard. Typically, though, I will personally aim for about mid-June, and I usually get pretty lucky with having that Tioga Road open for me. Now for the fun part. Let's talk about what you can do along the Tioga Road. So this western section of the Tioga Road is mostly campgrounds. You've got some smaller campgrounds. You've got a gas station right here. Be aware that you will want to make sure you have enough gas in your car. So you might want to fill up here. The prices are crazy high, but there's no other gas stations along the way until you get out of the park and down the hill to the town of Lee Vining. So you will want to keep that in mind. But you'll start at Crane Flat over here and you'll start driving along the Tioga Road and you'll hit a couple of really nice, small, more primitive type campgrounds. Tamarack Flat, White Wolf, Yosemite Creek, Porcupine Flat. All of those are smaller campgrounds. They are still hard to get sites at, but not as hard as it is to get camping in Yosemite Valley. So I have stayed in a couple of these campgrounds. I really favor Tamarack Flat if I can't get Crane Flat or anything in Yosemite Valley, or if I can't get Hodgson Meadow. then I will look at Tamarack Flat. It is really nice, but it does take 45 minutes to an hour to get down to the valley. If you're wanting to stay on the Tioga Road, though, it's really convenient to exploring both parts of the park. So following the road, as you pass these campgrounds and picnic areas, the first really cool thing that you will hit is Olmsted Point. Olmsted Point is a fabulous viewpoint, no hiking required, but you can park, get out of your car, walk down to the viewpoint where you'll get stunning views of Half Dome. And Half Dome is backwards from back here, so it's kind of a cool vantage point for seeing Half Dome. You'll also get amazing views of Clouds Rest, which is a huge granite dome that a lot of people don't notice. It's a little bit more understated, but it's really cool. So I love coming to Olmsted Point for those two reasons. In addition to that, this is a great place to try to see marmots. They like to sun themselves on the rocks here. And you also get really cool views of our next stop along the road, which is Tenaya Lake. So continuing along the Tioga Road from Olmsted Point, really quickly you'll hit Tenaya Lake, which is the largest high alpine lake in Yosemite. And this lake has two different picnic areas. I like both for different reasons. This one on the west side gives you really beautiful views of the lake with the mountains behind it. It's so picturesque. This picnic area on the east side has sandy beaches. And so if you want to swim in the lake or you want to do any paddle boarding, anything like that, then this is the side that I would favor. I usually stop at both sides of the lake when I'm up here because I like the really pretty views for my photography, but then I also like to just chill on the side of the lake, really enjoy the sand and the water and have a fun time there. So both are great. One thing you will want to note is you definitely want bug spray here, especially on the west side of the lake. There are a lot of mosquitoes. Continuing on past Tenaya Lake is when you really start getting to my favorite part of the Tioga Road, which is when you start hitting those epic backcountry trails that you can find in Yosemite. I really think this area has some of the best hiking that you can do in this park. And it's really nice because if you've spent time in Yosemite before, you'll know that the main parts of the park, like in Yosemite Valley and Glacier Point, they get so busy. And sometimes you just feel like you're surrounded by people all the time. But when you come up to the Tioga Road and you spend some time up here, and especially if you hit one of these longer trails up here, it really does take you to a whole different side of Yosemite. You get to escape the crowds. It's absolutely stunning. You start seeing more wildlife, and it's just nice and quiet. So there are some really epic backpacking trails back in here. If you want to hike back into the Grand Canyon of the Tuolumne River, this is a great area. If you want to hike a portion of the John Muir Trail, it goes here and here. And so there's a lot of options there. Something that's really cool about Yosemite that a lot of people don't know is that they have high Sierra camps. And so these are camps that are set up where you just hike from camp to camp each night. And those are all back in here and kind of a little bit on this side too. So it just makes a big loop right there. Those camps are epic. You've got Cathedral Lakes, which is over in this area. So just so many great longer hiking trails. You don't even have to hike a whole trail. If you just want to get away from the crowds for a minute, pick a trail and start hiking for a minute, and it can be a really lovely experience up here on the Tioga Road. As you near the end of the Tioga Road, you will hit Tuolumne Meadows, which is a more developed part of this road. And so this is where you'll find a couple of amenities, not a whole lot, but there is some. There is a lodge up here, a campground, a little grill that you can eat at. There's a post office. There are some things here. There's a visitor center. And so it does get a little bit busier in the Tuolumne Meadows area. But again, if you can hit a trail and just keep hiking for a minute, you will find that solitude that you've been craving in Yosemite. So you don't even have to do a longer trail here. You can come in, you can park near the visitor center or park near the picnic area over here. I really love the Lambert Dome hike. That's super cool. You can hike to the top of this dome. And so you get just expansive views of Tuolumne Meadows from up here. Another option that's short and sweet is to Soda Springs, which is kind of in this area. This takes you through the meadow itself, so make sure you stay on the trail. These plants are very, very fragile. But as you walk through the meadow, it's just absolutely gorgeous. We usually see deer out here. When you get to the springs, you'll see some carbonated water coming out of the ground, which is pretty cool. And so those are a couple of really nice short options. Again, though, if you want to go long, there are a lot of longer trails all around this area. So it's just a really cool place to set a base camp for the day or for a couple of days and get out and explore Yosemite's beautiful high alpine landscape. Beyond Tuolumne Meadows, that's when you will hit the end of the Tioga Road at Tioga Pass. Driving out this way, you'll make your way up to this highest point of the road. This also marks the end of the park boundary, and so as you go out the Tioga Pass entrance here, then you will no longer be in Yosemite National Park, but you'll head down the mountain here into Lee Vining. A lot of people like to stay there to access like Mammoth Lakes or this east side of Yosemite. If you've looked up driving the Tioga Road before, you might know that that end section from Lee Vining to Tioga Pass can get a little hairy. It is very steep. There's some really steep drop-offs. You're heading basically straight up the mountain. It's so cool to drive, but you will want to take care as you're doing that, especially if you plan on towing a trailer or anything into the park along this section. It does get really steep in here, but it's beautiful. There's waterfalls coming down the cliffs and you're just right there in it. And so it's a really cool section of this road, but just be aware that it does get a little bit hairy in a couple of spots because of how steep it gets. And that is Yosemite's Tioga Road. This is one of the great roads in the national park system. You'll definitely want to make some time to drive along this road. If you can give yourself a full day, that would be ideal. And if you want even more tips and tricks for navigating Yosemite and the Tioga Road, check out the Dirt in My Shoes Yosemite itinerary at dirtinmyshoes.com. I have a bunch of other videos helping you plan your perfect trip to Yosemite National Park, so please subscribe and check out those videos so that you can have an epic Yosemite vacation. Happy trails!